everyone, my name is Clay and welcome to Terminally Nerdy, and today we're going to talk about, in my opinion, the 3 most important skills a GM needs to master to become the best GM humanly possible. Now, this is based on a tweet that I sent out a couple of months ago, and that tweet got a ridiculous amount of traction, and I actually had a couple people kind of claim that the 3 skills that I'm about to talk about are actually the same thing, and they're not. And when I posed the question to my Patreons for this first video here in June, if they wanted to see this first, or if they wanted to see a dice bag review first, they chose this. So you'll be getting dice bag review in July, which will be cool. So, first, I'm going to tell you what the 3 skills I think are, and then I'm going to kind of break down what they actually mean and how you apply them. Now, these apply actually to more than just GMing. They apply to real life. Okay, these are real life skills that if you get the hang of these things, you can apply them to both your actual day-to-day life and gaming. Those 3 skills are, in order, the ability to adapt, the ability to improvise, and the ability to bullshit. I know they sound similar, but they're not. First and foremost, we're going to talk about the ability to adapt. When I say adapt, I'm talking specifically in the reference to adapting to an ever-changing situation. Real talk, no matter how hard you plan, no matter how much you plan, no matter how much you lay things out, you've got your plot ready, you've got everything set up, you know exactly what's going to happen, your players are going to do something that you did not expect every single time. You know, there's the old saying, the plan doesn't survive first contact with the enemy. Well, in the GM's case, the plan does not survive first contact with the party. Straight up. 90% of the time, it's going to get screwy. So, how can you deal with this? Well, you have to be able to adapt. And a lot of first-time GMs don't have this skill. For example, they expect the party to leave the inn, right? First thing in the morning, they're just going to leave the inn, they're going to go out into town, and they're going to find this plot hook that they have sitting out there. Maybe a woman's going to get kidnapped or something in front of them. But instead, the party decides to spend 10 minutes in the tavern and start talking to random NPCs. NPCs that were just backdrop. This GM doesn't have anything planned. The GM who cannot adapt to this situation is going to freeze. This frequently leads into the problem of railroading, which I'll get into in a later video. But frequently, the GM will lock up right here. The players are not doing what they expected, and they don't know how to deal with it. The ability to adapt to that situation is a skill you have to get the hang of. The players decided they want to talk to them NPCs, then you need to make sure that they can talk to them NPCs, and them NPCs have personality. How do you do this? Well, once you've gotten past that this is happening, you now need to improvise. Number 2. You need to be able to improvise a solution to this whole mess. So, they didn't go outside. They're talking to these NPCs. How do you deal with this? Well, what I usually do is I make shit up on the spot. I'm good at it. I'm good at improvising these things. So, they decide to talk to this NPC. Well, his name is Michael. He's the town's blacksmith. He is a dwarf. Big long beard. I just make it up. Now, I usually play with the DM screen. Not all GMs do. But I'll play with the GM screen, and I'll start writing down behind my screen that I'm making this NPC up on the spot. That way, in the future, I now have an NPC for them to interact with. Now, you've adapted to the situation, you've improvised this solution of them actually talking to this NPC, and now you gotta get to step 3, the 3rd skill, the ability to bullshit. A lot of times, the first 2 skills, once you've got the hang of them, will solve most problems. But frequently, you'll improvise a solution, and it will visibly show that you are doing this. For example, you'll be like, I didn't think you were going to do that. Okay, give me a second, I'm going to come up with something. You don't want to do that. That kind of shows that you're not prepared. It might make the players feel bad that they're doing something that you didn't expect them to, so now they're like, oh, well, we just messed up, he didn't want us to do that. You don't want to come off that way. You need to make it seem that whatever they're doing, you knew they were going to do it. You got to bullshit them. So frequently, a good combination, a good word you can use here is, let me check my notes real quick. Let me check the notes. You get the hang of doing this because I worked in customer service over the phone. The phrase, let me check my notes, is almost a phrase that has been ingrained in our minds now to be like, okay, he just needs to check on something, we'll deal with it. You could do things like, let me check my notes, and you plan out the NPC really fast and you start reacting. To the players, you just needed to flip some pages and get to where that NPC was. You had him, you knew he existed, but you in actuality are just making shit up. These 3 skills are of the utmost importance, because I guarantee you, you're gonna have to use them. You have the temple put out in the mountains. The players decide they're going to the woods. And you needed them to go to that temple. What do? Well, first, you adapt. Let them go to the woods. Fuck it. They're going to the woods. Cool. Need to improvise a solution. Well, if you have, say, stuff like this, which I'm going to review later in the month, you can use the dungeons or the one-shots. You have it in front of you. You just say, okay, let me check my notes for the woods real quick so I can make sure I know what I'm talking about here. You flip it over. You find something you need. These are handy. Or you have stuff already pre-prepped. Or do what I would do and improvise by moving the temple. And then bullshit that was the intention. You find the mystical temple that you wanted in the mountains. Well, now it's in the woods. They find the entrance. They go in. Your plot doesn't get derailed, and they continue to believe that they've had a choice in what they're doing. Believe it or not, it's the illusion of choice that the players want. Sometimes you can get around the idea that they're choosing what they're doing by simply moving pieces around. You have to adapt, you have to improvise, and you have to make it come off like it was planned all along. I have improvised entire sessions. I have sat down, for example, where is it? That map over there. The map that I've shown before of that world that I didn't really get to use. The first session of that was entirely improvised. I knew in my head that the way the adventure was going to start was everyone was going to get kidnapped by cultists, but I didn't have a dungeon planned out. I didn't have encounters planned out. I had nothing. Because when we got together the first time, I just intended for us to make characters, but they wanted to play. So I said, okay, give me about 10 minutes to kind of go over everything. I didn't think we'd be ready so fast. They went off and did something, and I quickly laid out a dungeon, put encounters in it, prepped this motherfucker. They got in, they got kidnapped, I put them in the dungeon, and we went off. Boom, done. And they didn't have any idea that I made that up on the spot. They just didn't. They didn't get it. Because I'm good at that. And if you get good at that, then you'll be able to deal with any situation your players come up with. They decide they're going to punch the king instead of helping the king. Okay, well then they get thrown in jail. You have some stuff happen in jail, etc. ad nauseum. There's a couple of ways you can get around this whole thing. If you look up Sly Flourish's Guide to Lazy DMing, I haven't read it, but he basically kind of goes over having stuff pre-prepped, like encounters, NPCs, and I fully agree with that. Make sure you have something like this and have your favorite encounters printed out or copied in your binder. Make sure you have little note cards with NPC ideas, so that way, anytime the players decide to do something you don't expect, you can just flip in your notes. Remember, let me check my notes. Flip there, and you have stuff pre-made that you can improvise and connect in on the fly, and then they'll never know the difference. As always, guys, thanks for watching these videos. If you like what I'm doing, hit that like button. If you don't like it, feel free to hit the dislike button. Feel free to subscribe for more tips, tricks, reviews, and other such nonsense. If you feel like supporting me on Patreon, the link is in the description below. Feel free to check out the rewards. I did update them. And as always, thanks for watching, folks, and remember, stay nerdy!